The movie opens with a couple, Meghna and Arjun, talking about how they will reveal their relationship to their parents. Naturally, they're anxious and excited about the idea. However, the conversation is quickly interrupted by a man urging Meghna to quickly come to see her dad. When she goes back to her house, a grim scene awaits her. It's her dad, lifeless, hanging from a platform. The scene quickly shifts to the morgue. The doctor tells the couple that he is unable to issue a final certificate because of a strange discovery. Meghna's father doesn't have a heart, or rather it seems like he never had one to begin with. Of course, this confuses Arjun to the point where he accuses the doctor of tampering with the body. However, Meghna doesn't want to argue. All she wants is to get her father's remains back. The next day at the funeral, they decide to conduct a ritual to burn the deceased's body in the open. When Meghna holds the holy water for the ritual, it scorches her hand, but no one pays it any special attention. During the funeral pyre, Meghna notices a disturbing monk with a severely burned face, strikingly similar to the character Two-Face. Later that night, Arjun tries to comfort Meghna, urging her to eat. However, she's drowning in sorrow, the grief too overwhelming for her, so she shuns him. After Arjun leaves, Meghna hears a noise coming from the attic, so she goes there to see if anyone is there. Once there, she hears something whispering her name. Then she discovers her dad's diary, triggering her emotions once more. Upon reading the final entry in a diary, Meghna discovers a grim truth. Her mother, Radhika, is still alive, living a good life after marrying some royalty. It turns out that her mother had poisoned her father, but he fought against the poison for years, making sure Meghna grew up to be a capable woman. After that, he could no longer fight the effects of the poison, and gave up the will to live, declaring his ex-wife the victor. She immediately goes to the ritual site and calls out to her father, telling him he should not have given up his life for a woman who wasn't worth it. Meghna unexpectedly begins convulsing and losing consciousness. When she finally wakes up, she comes face to face with the ghost of her father. Meghna proceeds to give the deceased man a piece of her mind. Meghna wants to take revenge on her mother. She asks her father to lend her the power of his spirit so she can carry out this plan. Her father is hesitant at first, but he eventually agrees. He warns her that Radhika's home is fortified by the power of God. This means Meghna has to infiltrate the household first and weaken the defenses. After that, they'll be able to carry out the revenge and make the woman suffer as much as they have. And so, Meghna gets on a train to carry out her mission, leaving behind Arjun, who is clueless about the situation. However, the discovery of attic photographs apparently provides him with a basic understanding of the situation, despite his initial confusion. After some time, Meghna finally arrives at her mother's home. The butler who greets her immediately heads to the party inside to inform the head of the household of her arrival. Shantanu, Radhika's current husband, talks to Radhika in private and tells her that her daughter is waiting for her at the study. On the way to meet Meghna, Radhika suddenly gets cold feet. Perhaps feeling guilt and shame, she doesn't have the courage to face her daughter. Shantanu talks to Meghna instead, making up an excuse for Radhika's cowardice. Meghna tells the man about her circumstances. Shantanu doesn't hesitate to offer shelter to the young woman, reassuring her that she is welcome in his home. He then shows her to her room. Once Meghna gets settled in, she places a picture of her father on the desk and asks him what the next step is to destroy the family. She then hears her mother in the other room, and when she checks, she witnesses Radhika putting her other daughter to bed, something that Meghna never experienced from her. Naturally, this elicits strong emotions from the young woman. In the couple's room, Radhika is deep in thought. She asks her husband if Meghna mentioned anything else, and the man simply tells her that Meghna seems sullen because she is still processing the demise of her father. Radhika still doesn't know how to face her daughter. Later that night, Meghna starts convulsing again, which happens when she communicates with her father from beyond the grave. The man tells her that his spirit cannot enter the house because of a certain lamp, so she needs to turn it off. Meghna steps out of her room and heads to a nearby mini-shrine. She blows out the light source just as instructed. Outside, the two-faced monk from before appears again, sensing the protection of the house being removed. He summons a spirit and orders it to enter the house. Later, someone knocks on Radhika's bedroom door. She asks who it is, but no one answers. The door starts opening by itself. When Radhika approaches the door, no one is there. Radhika then blows out the nearby candles, and when she does, she gets jump-scared by a ghost girl for a second. After she blows out the candle near her husband, a hand from under the bed grabs her leg. It's the ghost of her ex-husband. However, it turns out this is just a nightmare, and she jolts awake. Shantanu is doing his best to calm her down. The next morning, the butler is unable to relight the lamp. He tells Shantanu that he saw Meghna douse the flames last night, and he blames her presence for why he can't get it to light again. Of course, Shantanu reprimands his servant for making such a statement towards someone whom he believes is an innocent girl. In her room, Meghna communicates with her father, asking him what their next move should be because she can't stand the idea of living with the woman who doesn't even have the decency to show herself. Her father's spirit communicates through a gramophone, telling her to wait until nighttime for his next instruction. At the dining area, Radhika's other daughter, Aditi, is barking orders like a spoiled brat. When Radhika finally comes out of the kitchen to bring milk for Aditi, she bumps into Meghna and spills the milk. This is the first time in a long time that the mother and daughter have seen each other. Unable to contain her emotions, Meghna walks out. Meghna sulks in a nearby waterfall, unable to contain her hatred towards her mother. Suddenly, Arjun appears, asking Meghna why she left him behind and came to her mother's new home. Meghna insists she can't tell him her goal, and urges him to go back to Bombay. Arjun, declaring his love for her, insists that he will be nearby and won't go home without her. After an unnecessarily long love scene, Meghna's father communicates with her through a dream. Of course, he is mad as hell because his daughter has been porking some dude instead of carrying out their revenge. He tells Meghna to stop fooling around and lock in. When she wakes up, Arjun is also awake. Turns out he heard everything. He urges Meghna to reconsider her plan, trying to convince her that revenge is not the answer. Meghna is unfaltering. She is hell-bent on making Radhika suffer. Arjun has no choice but to deliver an ultimatum. If in 24 hours Meghna doesn't go back to Bombay with him, he's going to the mansion to snitch on her. The evil monk, who happens to be nearby, somehow hears this ultimatum through the wind, and so he declares Arjun an obstacle to whatever diabolical deed he is planning. In the next scene, Arjun is listening to some serene music on the radio, but the volume keeps getting turned down. Of course, this creeps him out. While in his bed, an invisible entity attacks him and tries to strangle him. Arjun momentarily escapes from his room, but the haunting doesn't stop. After the evil monk briefly lets his form be seen, he continues attacking Arjun, flinging him everywhere like a rag doll. Meanwhile, in Meghna's room, Aditi suddenly appears holding a doll named Alice. She asks Meghna what she's hiding, a statement that shocks our main character. Aditi talks about removing the devil from within Meghna, but she's actually just talking about satiating Meghna's hunger. Aditi offers her some food, and the mood suddenly changes. The younger girl admits that she found out who Meghna really is, and at the same time, she apologizes for not greeting her the way a younger sister should. Looks like Aditi isn't such a spoiled brat after all. Aditi hugs Meghna, declaring how happy she is to bond with her older sister. That night, Meghna's father communicates with her again, giving her final instructions. All she has to do is receive his ashes and bring them inside the house. He'll be taking care of the rest. The next morning, Meghna bumps into the gardener, who shows her a black rose. The conversation quickly escalates when the gardener tells her that he knows she doused the flames. He informs her about the evil monk, who is actually some sort of half-living entity that is taking advantage of the spirit of Meghna's father. Of course, Meghna can't help but feel extremely alarmed by this revelation. Later, with Shantanu's encouragement, Radhika finally summons the courage to face Meghna. Just when the conversation is getting serious, Aditi barges in and pulls Meghna aside. The young girl informs her that Arjun is in the hospital. Naturally, Meghna and Aditi rush to the hospital to check on Arjun's condition. Once there, Arjun reveals that he was saved by the spirit of Meghna's father. In a quick flashback, Meghna's father explains that the evil entity that attacked Arjun was conjured by Radhika, or at least that's what he wants Arjun to believe. It worked though, because now Arjun fully supports Meghna's plan to take revenge on her mother. He hands an urn containing the ashes of Meghna's father. She knows what to do next, so she takes the urn and starts heading back to the mansion. However, as soon as she walks away, it is revealed that it was the evil monk who was talking to her all along, disguised as Arjun. While heading home, Meghna recalls the full details of what her father told her the other night. The plan is to hurt Aditi, a move that is sure to devastate Radhika. Meghna argued with her father that night, insisting that the young girl was innocent. Back to the present, Meghna gets annoyed by her younger sister's incessant questions, so she gets out of the car. While contemplating her next move, Meghna encounters the creepy gardener again. This time he's preaching about how vengeance is a fire that destroys. He claims to be the one who can douse the flame of vengeance within her. Naturally, Meghna is freaked out by the way this guy is talking, so she runs away from him. Back at the mansion, Meghna takes her father's ashes and puts them in a cloth. Then she heads to Aditi's room and places the ashes under a nearby pillow while the girl is sleeping. Despite her hesitation, she fulfills her task with tears in her eyes. Aditi wakes up thinking that Meghna is there to apologize, not knowing what's really happening. When Aditi tells Meghna that she loves her, the older sister can't help but become emotional. It's easy to imagine how conflicted Meghna feels right now. As she is leaving Aditi's room, Radhika spots her. However, Meghna is in no mood to reconcile with her mother. Later that night, Aditi begins experiencing a creepy phenomenon. A voice leads her to a mirror. Her reflection is acting on its own, beckoning her to come closer. Meghna is watching from a corner as this unfolds. All of a sudden, a hand reaches out from the mirror, causing Aditi to scream. Everyone else in the house is woken up by the scream, so they begin frantically searching for Aditi. When they eventually find her, Aditi is not herself. She is possessed. She begins demonstrating her demonic powers by opening and closing the door telepathically. Then, the little girl makes her escape. The rest of the family continues their search in the nearby forest. Radhika eventually finds Aditi passed out on the ground. They manage to return her home, where a doctor is immediately called to check on her. His diagnosis is delirium, but we all know this is not the case. All of a sudden, Aditi becomes possessed again, and somehow the bed is also rotating while she is convulsing. When Aditi stops moving, the doctor checks on her, but she immediately grabs him and bites off his ear. Then, with a different voice, Aditi starts talking nonsensically. While this is happening, the butler starts putting two and two together. He understands this is all Meghna's fault. Shantanu defends Meghna despite the butler insisting he knows the truth. They get into a standoff, with Shantanu insisting that the butler stay out of their family affair. Meghna, unable to handle the situation, walks out. Radhika chases after Meghna and tries to comfort her, but Meghna's hatred for her mother gets the best of her. She declares that all that is happening right now is Radhika's fault. Had she not abandoned Meghna, this wouldn't be happening. Later that night, a stone with a letter is thrown into Meghna's room. It's from Arjun. He wants to meet Meghna in the jungle near the mansion. She immediately heads out to meet him. When they finally meet, Arjun tries to convince Meghna to leave so she stops getting consumed by vengeance. Their conversation is interrupted by the butler, who threatens Meghna, stating that he will tell Shantanu everything. However, before he can go back to the mansion, Arjun attacks him and mercilessly ends his life using a boulder. They end up disposing of the butler's body in a well. After that, Arjun tells Meghna to pack only her essential belongings and meet him at the train station the next day. The next morning at the mansion, Meghna watches as her mother sings a lullaby to Aditi, who now looks like a corpse. Meghna can't help but be moved to tears, perhaps contemplating her decision. She quickly packs a few clothes and heads out. While on the train with Arjun, Meghna can't help but think about the sister she left behind. Arjun convinces him that they made the right choice and they have a future to build. Despite Meghna's valid concern, guilt, and pain, Arjun gaslights her into believing that their future matters more than that of an innocent girl. Of course, they end up making out. While kissing, Meghna sees Arjun's reflection on the window, revealing that she's been making out with the evil monk all along. Fake Arjun starts attacking Meghna, and a struggle ensues. She ends up running away from him, and this leads her to the top of the moving train. The two are at a standstill. One wrong move can be fatal. When the train approaches a tunnel, Meghna ducks, and since fake Arjun is facing away from the tunnel, he is unable to duck down. The evil monk, who was half alive in the first place, is now fully not alive. Meghna gets off at the nearest station with blood still splattered all over her. The next thing she does is walk on the train tracks until she makes it back to the mansion. There she goes to Aditi's bedroom and communicates with her sister, but she's actually talking to her father. She now realizes that while she wanted revenge, her father was the one who stirred her emotions and manipulated her from beyond the grave. She then goes to the creepy gardener, who claimed to be able to extinguish her burning desire for vengeance. She wants to take him up on his offer. The gardener gives him a diary, one that he was specifically asked to bury. This diary contains Radhika's side of the story. To summarize the content of the diary, Meghna's dad was the bad guy all along. He had pimped out his wife and for his selfish needs, making her sleep with other men for money. He also threatened to poison himself if Radhika tried to leave. When he eventually did swallow poison, he blamed its adverse effect on Radhika. Radhika tries to escape with Meghna, but before she could do that, this douchebag took Meghna and hid from Radhika for years. Eventually, Radhika gave up the search and started living a new life with Shantanu. Livid after finding out the truth, Meghna screams at the waterfalls, cursing her father for using her as a tool for vengeance. After this, she goes back to the mansion to admit her crime. Of course, Radhika is beyond shocked by this revelation, so much so that she starts slapping her non-stop. Shantanu intervenes and tells Meghna to leave and never come back. Meghna pleads for one last time to allow her to undo what she has done, because she's the only one capable of dousing the flames she started. From afar, the evil monk, who for some reason is still alive, hears the echoes of this conversation. Later, a priest arrives at the mansion and looks into the situation. This is when he reveals that Meghna's father made a deal with the evil monk. Meghna remembers that she had a vision in the past detailing the conversation between his father and the occultist. The deal is that her father's spirit will gain the power to possess Aditi, and after he ends the girl's life, he can take her spirit as well. Now that they know what they are up against, they ask the priest what they can do to fight and save Aditi. The answer is, you guessed it, thoughts and prayers. They will need a miracle at this point. In the next scene, they put ropes on Aditi to prevent her from escaping when they perform an exorcism. During the chanting, Aditi puts up a fight, and the butler even gets thrown and impaled on the wall. Aditi gets loose from her bindings and attacks Shantanu, almost ending his life. Eventually, Aditi escapes, so the others go and search for her in the house. While they're split up, Shantanu gets attacked by the occultist, but when he fights back, the evil monk suddenly disappears. Meanwhile, Meghna vomits out an entire rat all of a sudden. The possessed Aditi is playing tricks on her. Going back to Shantanu, he manages to find the occultist again and is currently engaged in a fierce battle. In another room, Radhika gets attacked by Aditi. The girl eventually knocks the woman down by flinging an object straight at Radhika's temple. Meghna eventually finds her injured mother. Radhika tells Meghna to save Aditi, otherwise, they are all doomed. Back to Shantanu, he seems to be winning the fight against the occultist. Maybe this time, he'll stay down for good. During Meghna's confrontation with Aditi, the little girl flings multiple objects at her. The deadliest one that flies towards her is a knife that hits her on the side. When Aditi escapes again, Meghna heads to the shrine and lights it. Then, for some reason, she grabs the trident from the figurine and stabs herself in the stomach with it. Meghna's spirit leaves her body. In the spirit realm, she encounters her father and Aditi's spirit. In order to save her sister's soul, Meghna engages her father in combat. During the grapple, a ray of light shines on them and pulls them up, similar to how a UFO would pull up someone. Then, a hand grabs Meghna's ankle, and only her father gets pulled up into the ray of light, disintegrating his spirit. Turns out the spirit who saved her belongs to her one and only lover, Arjun. Meghna is happy to be reunited with Arjun. However, he tells her that it's not time for her to depart the mortal realm. She needs to go back and fulfill her duties. In the final scene, Meghna wakes up in a hospital bed. The first to greet her is Aditi, who is now back to her normal, healthy self. Radhika and Shantanu are also there, glad that she is alive and recovering. Meghna finally calls Radhika her mother, and the two are ready to rebuild their bond. This marks the end of this roller coaster of a movie.